What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and today we have some Venom 3 reported plot leaks for the film, and also a little bit for Madam Web, because apparently these two movies, Venom 3 and Madam Web, are going to connect to each other. And not only is Madam Web going to connect to Venom 3, but the other Venom films as well. Now, Tom Hardy has basically confirmed already that this is indeed the final Venom movie. And a lot of people are really hoping that Spider-Man is going to appear in the movie. Specifically, they are hoping that we can get a Venom versus Spider-Man fight. Tom Hardy has already said a couple of times in different interviews that if he is in the Olympics, then Spider-Man versus Venom is that gold medal, and he would be stupid not to go for that gold medal, heavily implying that the goal for Venom 3 is to have Spider-Man in the film. Then we got the post-credit scene for Venom Let There Be Carnage and the post-credit scene for Spider-Man No Way Home. And although it was a bit of a tease bringing Venom into the MCU and then taking him back out, it did show him who Spider-Man was. And if this plot leak ends up being true, there is a very important part of the Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene that will come into play in Venom 3 that connects Venom to Spider-Man. So let's just go ahead and dive into this plot leak. It is posted anonymously on 4chan, so of course take it with a grain of salt. But if this does end up being true, I do like the connections that we are seeing here for the Sony Spider-Man universe. So it starts off by stating that this movie, Venom 3, is going to be a standalone sequel to Madam Web, which is about the titular character and three Spider-Women protecting a pregnant Mary Parker and an unborn Peter Parker from time traveler Ezekiel Sims. Now, we already know that Ezekiel Sims is indeed going to be the villain of this movie. We've already seen him in set photos. And yes, while he is not a villain per se in the comics, it looks like Sony is switching that up on us, and perhaps he's going to be a combination of Ezekiel and Morlun. Morlun in the comics is a multiversal Spider-Verse traveler, and he goes down and he hunts people who have the powers of Spider-Man in different universes. He's the villain in the comics and sort of the Spider Totem story, so perhaps they are forging these two characters here and perhaps making them one. Now, as far as the three Spider-Women are concerned, we have recently heard that there is indeed going to be a Spider-Woman in the film. In fact, we just learned that actress Sydney Sweeney is going to be playing Spider-Woman, a Spider-Woman, in the film. So far, this checks out. Also, there have been reports that there is indeed going to be a baby Peter Parker in the film. We do also know that actress Emma Roberts is going to be playing Mary Parker. So far, everything is lining up, but the leak continues by stating, Madam Web will be set 10 years before Venom 1, which is why the earlier set leaks for that film have an early 2000s setting. So this is how Madam Web is going to link to Venom 1 and Venom 2, and then of course Venom 3. Madam Web is a multiversal character. She is a cosmic entity in the comics who can travel the entire multiverse. And it looks like this film, Madam Web, is going to be jumping to different points in time during it. But after it ends, it's going to connect to Venom 3. But here's where the post-credit for Venom Let There Be Carnage comes in. The leak continues to state that Venom learns through the aforementioned multiversal hive mind that Peter Parker / Spider-Man is destined to kill them, and they reference Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 with Topher Grace's Venom. Okay, so take it back to the post-credit scene for Venom Let There Be Carnage, where Eddie asks Venom if he has secrets from him. They're watching a show, and Venom says, "We all have a past, Eddie," and Eddie asks if he's keeping secrets from him. And Venom says this, and it's very important. He says, 80 billion light years of hive knowledge across universes would explode your tiny little brain. Eddie says, what does that even mean? And Venom is about to give him a little taste of the hive knowledge. He says just a fraction, but then Venom and Eddie got brought into the MCU, where they saw the TV screen talking about Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And it did kind of look like Venom knew who that was, and that is probably because of the hive knowledge. Then in the post-credit scene for Spider-Man No Way Home, Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock says maybe I should go visit the Spider-Man, but of course he gets brought back to the Sonyverse. But I'm assuming he's still going to want to go find the Spider-Man person. And they do address this in the leak, we're about to get to it. But they continue to say this is what earlier leaks were referring to when they said that Venom / Eddie would explore the multiverse. They are simply looking through it. via the symbiote Vision. And this makes sense. So Venom through the hive mind can look at other universes and can look at the past. So it's clear that they're going to be looking at Spider-Man 3, where Topher Grace was Venom and he was fighting Spider-Man. And here's where things get kind of interesting. So they say Venom learns that through the hive mind that Spider-Man is destined to kill them. It then says that Venom persuades Eddie to kidnap the 10-year-old Peter Parker of their universe in order to change their future, but Eddie refuses to harm him. So this part is very interesting and also could be kind of a letdown. Spider-Man that's only 10 years old in the universe, obviously we're not going to have a Spider-Man versus Venom kind of storyline if this is indeed the case. Peter Parker isn't even Spider-Man at 10 years old. But let's finish going over the leak before we talk about all of that. It says that Eddie/Venom wind up forming a bond with the 10-year-old Peter Parker and must protect him while Detective Patrick Mulligan becomes Toxin. He goes insane, attributed to the imperfect symbiosis, and sets out to destroy all monsters, including Venom and, for some reason, Peter Parker. Now, what's interesting about this is this sets it up for a really cool kind of classic origin story for Peter Parker, the symbiote bonding with him and then Peter Parker rejecting it. So this states that Eddie and Venom bond with Peter Parker. Now, of course, that could be just like bonding as friends, but it also could mean the symbiote bonding with Peter Parker, and they could be a perfect match, and Venom could really, really like that. But again, keep in mind, Peter Parker is only 10 years old, according to this leak. So he doesn't have his Spider-Man powers yet. However, according to the final thing that this leak says, it states that at one point, Venom exposes young Peter to normal spiders, one of which bites him and causes an allergic reaction, which leads to Eddie having to take Peter to the hospital and pretend to be his father. That's pretty interesting to hear. However, it doesn't say that he gets bit by a radioactive spider or a mutated spider, anything like that. It just says normal spiders. So perhaps this isn't where he gets his powers, because 10 years old is still young for a Peter Parker to receive these Spider-Man powers. Okay, so a couple of things about this plot leak. If it is indeed true, I'm not sure I like it too much. Although the story is very intriguing, if this is indeed the last Venom film with Tom Hardy as Venom, I would much prefer him to fight Spider-Man. I would rather them bring in Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and then Venom and Spider-Man go head to head. That's what I would prefer. However, having said that, this does seem like a storyline that Sony would do, especially since it does seem very clear now that Sony does have a plan for their Spider-Verse. They have an overall story that is going to connect. And Madam Web is really the first movie that is supposed to kick off the multiversal Spider-Verse, with different universes and different timelines connecting to each other. So this does kind of line up with what Sony seems to be doing right now, and in all honesty, this does seem like something Sony would do. After all, with the Venom movies, they did completely change his origin. So it seems like they're trying to be unique with their stories in their Spider-Verse, which does make sense. And in all honesty, this story isn't that bad. It's a good twist. The problem is we all want to see a Spider-Man versus Venom movie. And perhaps Sony and Marvel Studios have made a deal that that is coming in a future Tom Holland Spider-Man movie in the MCU. That could be why we're not going to get it in Venom 3. But in all honesty, it would be cool to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man go up against Venom in the MCU. But again, take this leak with a grain of salt. It was posted anonymously on 4chan, so it is in no way confirmed. However, let me know what you think about this. If this does come true, will you be happy? Will you be sad, mad? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest Spider-Man, Venom, Sony Spider-Verse news, everything. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.